In this video I'll be showing you how to do a step-by-step guide process on how to complete the Electromagnetic Awakening Party achievement/trophy Easter egg. Any steps that you need in particular on how to craft items or anything will be down in the description of this video, so if you need to know how to craft anything, look there. Also, any parts of the Easter egg that you in particular need to find, you can find down in the description in timestamps, so you can click on the timestamp you need in order to find the step you want. Lastly, any steps that are different in co-op compared to solo, I will explain fully when we get to those steps. The setup I recommend you use for this Easter egg is as follows. On the screen you can see exactly what will help you out with this Easter egg. I will also recommend that if you wish you could take in some Wraith Fires as well as the Mog rather than the Strife. And if you wish you can also take in the Ragnaroks, as they're quite good for when you have lots of players in your game. The last thing I'd like to add is in here, if you're playing co-op, I recommend you replace Temporal Gift with Nowhere But There. The prerequisites you will need to do before you can start the Easter egg is turn on the power, go and activate the generator in the generator's room, go and unblock all the valves, try and unblock all the valves on the same wave that you've done the generator on, as that way you can then get Rushmore, the computer terminal, activated straight away on the next round. Rushmore can be found on the ground floor of the operations house. Once Rushmore has activated, walk up to him and interact with him with your interactive button to start the Easter egg process. If you don't know how to do any of these things, there will be guides on how to do all of them down in the description. For the first step, we're going to be looking for pieces of paper with codes on the bottom of them scattered throughout the map. The pages look like this. You'll need to find 4 of these pages. Bear in mind that the code will be different on all the pages except for the first page that we find. The first code we'll be looking for is the Toy Soldier code. This can be located inside the operations house, just over on this table opposite Rushmore's terminal. The next code we'll be looking for is Sawyer's code. This can be found in the APD Interrogation area. It can be found in 3 locations. One over here, the second one can be back here, just over by this terminal. And then the final one, if you come up these stairs and come to the back here, it's just by this terminal here. The third code can be found in APD Control. If you come over here, just to this little table here, there is McCain's code. All you need to do, get rid of this stack of papers and you will find the code underneath. For the final code, come down to Solitary, and over here you will notice a little key container. Use your interactive button to pick up a key in it. Bring the key over to this yellow house and head up the stairs and come to the back here where this desk is. Use your interactive button to open the desk and you will find Panel's code. Now that we have all the codes, what we need to do is enter in these codes in a specific order. The order will be up on your screen now. Walk over to Rushmore and use the little keypad on him to input the codes. Make sure that you use your interactive button on the number on the keypad that you wish to push. Once you enter in the code, push enter. You will then have about a minute in order to enter in the next code. If you fail to enter it in after a minute, then you will have to do this step again next round. Once you've inputted all the codes, then you will be able to go and access the Toy Soldier downstairs in the storage room. This will be needed for a later on step. Before beginning the next step, I recommend that you turn on subtitles. All you need to do is go to your settings tab and then go all the way over to the audio tab. Once inside the audio tab, scroll all the way down until you find the subtitles option. If this is switched to off, switch it to on. The other thing you're going to want to do before you begin this step is go and buy the Galvanuckles. Save up around 7,000 points to do this. Then come to the cul-de-sac, open up the red truck and buy the Galvanuckles from the cardboard box. What you will need to do is look for a TV with static on it around the underground bunker area. The TV looks like this. There are 4 possible spawn locations for where the TV can spawn. 1 can be in the diner just over here. 2 can be in beds to the right hand side if you're facing Pack-a-Punch is 1. And then the other one, if you're facing Pack-a-Punch, is over to the left hand side here. And then the final TV is in the lounge, and this is opposite Ted over here. Once you find your TV with static, what you'll want to do is save a zombie and Galvanuckle it in front of the TV. What will then happen is you'll see a computer voice start talking about a letter and numbers. You will need to write down the exact order that this TV speaks those letters and numbers. The letter indicates the house's mailbox. The number indicates a time on a clock. I'll show you all the little boxes by the houses and also where all the clocks are in those houses. The first house is A, and this is the yellow house. The mailbox is outside, and if you come up these stairs and literally on the wall just inside is your first clock. Second house is B, and this is the green house. If you come up the stairs here, you'll find the clock literally at the back wall there. The third house is C, and this is prisoner holding. You can find its clock in the entranceway just over here by this cell door. Fourth house is D, and this is Transfusion Facility, and the clock can be found just at the back of the fireplace here on the wall. The fifth house is E, and this is the operations house, and if you come up the stairs here, and literally on the wall to the right hand side of the Ray Gun Mark II wall by, you will find the clock here. And the final house is the blue house, and this is APD Interrogation, and the clock is just at the back here on the wall. What you need to do is make a note of all those letters and times and make sure you enter them in the exact order that they were given to you. If you come up to a clock and knife it, you will move the hour hand by 1 hour. If you use your interacted button, FX or square, you will move the minute hand by 15 minutes. Enter in the exact time that you were given. You will notice that there was one letter and number that wasn't given to you from the TV. Come to that house and interact with its clock, and it will switch to the exact time that is needed for you at the end. What you will need to do now is keep a note of this time that it's given you. So in this case it gave me 4:15. What this means is you now need to head over to Rushmore, enter in the time that the last clock gave you. In this case mine was 4:15, so I put in 0415. Once you do that, then Rushmore will give you a quote. I have all the combinations of house letters and times in a table for you down in the description of the video if you need that for reference. Come back over and interact with Rushmore. He will now give you a long quote about him finding a special Nova Crawler on the map. What you will now need to do is go down to the bed section of the map and find a red Nova 6 crawler. The red crawler looks like this. What you will all need to do if you're in a team is stay near this Nova Crawler while escorting it to the transfusion facility. If you're playing in solo, don't worry because the crawler will only follow you. As a small tip here, while you are escorting this Nova 6 crawler around, if you have electric cherry, do not get anywhere near the Nova 6 crawler when you reload, as it will kill it. If for any reason you do kill this Nova 6 crawler during this step, you will have to do the step on the next round. Once you bring the Nova 6 crawler into the transfusion facility, he will crawl through a barrier window and then disappear. Head back over to Rushmore and interact with him. Rushmore will now tell you that there's an odd identity around the base. What you will need to do now is go up to a door in the bunker. This door is where Marlton is located. All you need to do is interact with the door once so you hear Marlton speak. Now we need to head over to storage and buy the Toy Soldier. We then need to escort the Toy Soldier over to this door where Marlton is. Marlton will then panic as he is terrified of these robots. Eventually, after a bit of dialogue from Marlton, his door will open and he will throw out a big massive 115 container. Interact with the container to pick it up. Take this container over to the transfusion facility and put it on these shelves here. After you've done this, head back to Rushmore. For the next part, you're going to need a Telepad device. If you don't know how to build that, there is a link in the description. Place down a Telepad by the powerhouse and also by prisoner holding. Once you're done with that, come to the powerhouse and you will see a little box here. What you need to do is find yourself a Nova 6 Jolting Jack electric crawler and get it to shoot a beam of electricity at this box. My advice is stand in front of the box, wait for the beam to shoot at you and then move to the side just at the last second. This will then open up the box. What you will notice on the box is some green lights. These green lights will tick down once you pick up the little coil inside of it, and this indicates how much time you have left in order to insert the coil into the other box. Before you pick up the coil and begin this step, buy yourself stamina up. If you follow the exact path what I do here in the video, then you will be just fine. So all you need to do is pick up the coil, go through the powerhouse teleporter, then you'll come out of the prisoner holding teleporter, run through the prisoner house to the left, through the operations building, then once in the Rushmore room, come to the very end and hold your interactive button on this little terminal here. This will insert the power core into this terminal. Once you've done this, go and interact with Rushmore again. You will now need to get Brain Rot Pack-a-Punch ability on your gun that you currently have. So keep pack-a-punching your gun until you get it. Once you have Brain Rot, you will need to find some portraits around the map. These portraits will have a green glowy mist around them. They have to be done in a specific order. You will be doing the lounge first, followed then by the upstairs of the greenhouse, followed then by the beds. What you will need to do is stand next to these portraits and kill zombies until you get a turn zombie. What this turn zombie will then do is smack down the portrait, and what will be behind the portrait is a number. Keep note of all the numbers that you get behind these portraits. Once you've got all the numbers from the portraits, come back to Rushmore and enter them into him. After you've done this, wait for Rushmore to do his brief dialogue and then interact with him again. Power will now turn off throughout the whole of the map. You can turn this back on by going down into the bunker area of the map. What we need to do is find fuse boxes that look like this. We need to flick these switches into up and down positions. You need to do them in a specific order. Go to the diner, flick the switch up. Go to the beds, flick the switch up. Go to the lounge, flick the switch down. Go to the generator room, flick the switch up. Go to the storage room, flick the switch down, and finally go to the solitary room and flick the switch down. What you should notice is when you completed all of these is all the power boxes will now have all the green lights lit up above them. Now all you need to do is head over to the powerhouse and flick the power switch back up again. Now go and interact with Rushmore again. After interacting with Rushmore, the next step will involve some lockdown events. What you will need to do is find a sparkling mannequin around the map. The possible locations of where the mannequin can spawn are the backyard of the greenhouse, backyard of the yellow house, backyard of operations, backyard of the transfusion facility, the lounge, the diner, and the prisoner holding cells. Once you interact with one of these mannequins, you will be put into a lockdown event that lasts a minute. Bear in mind, if you're playing this co-op, all players need to be next to the mannequin when activating it. After you finish the lockdown event, the mannequin will explode, dropping a body piece on the floor. You will be picking up an arm, another arm, and also a head. After you pick up all the mannequin body parts, go to APD Interrogation and go up to the mannequin inside the chair. Use your interactive button and this will place all the body parts you picked up earlier onto that mannequin. You will now hear a lot of story quotes. After the story quotes, you will now need to locate a blue floating orb around the map. This can be located in any spot on the map, including outside of barriers, so I'm afraid I can't give you an exact location. It does, however, look like this and stands out very clearly from everything else on the map. Once you find this orb, shoot it with a gun and then it will start moving. All you'll now need to do is escort this orb all the way to that mannequin in APD Interrogation. This will be a long process and very slow, as this orb takes the longest route possible to get to APD Interrogation. So I recommend that you save a couple of zombies at the end of the round and then do this, as it will be safer to do so than to do it during the middle of a wave. Once you get the orb to APD Interrogation, it will go into the mannequin's body. Use your interactive button to interact with the orb. This will make the mannequin's body disappear. You will then have some more story dialogue to listen to. Once this is finished, head over to Rushmore and interact with him. You are now on the step for the boss fight. I recommend that you get set up with all your perks and decent weapons, and I also recommend that you take in a Raygun Mark II variant. Head down to APD Control and interact with this green terminal here. If you're playing with more than one player, all players must come and interact with this terminal at the same time. Once you do this, you will need to charge up one of the canisters around the APD. What you should notice is that there will be a load of A.D.A.M units now spawning in. Kill A.D.A.M units around this canister and fill it up with souls. Once this canister is filled up, you will notice that the door to the APD will now start opening up and will reveal the Avogadro. After a load of story, you will now be put into the boss fight against the Avogadro. What you need to do is find little containers around underneath in the bunker areas and fill them up with A.D.A.M unit souls. The order that you need to fill up these generators in is random every game. You can actually figure out which order it is if you come back to the terminal room you interacted with earlier in APD Control and look above it, and there will be 4 little green screens that will tell you exactly which order you need to fill your generators up with. The canisters are in the following locations. You can find one within the lounge, you can find one within the diner, you can find one within the storage room, and then finally you can find one within the beds area. I highly recommend while you are filling up souls inside of these canisters that you either use your special weapon and start killing a lot of the A.D.A.M units with that, or that you do big trains and try not to stick around the generator for too long, as the Avogadro does stun you and actually can nearly kill you a lot of the time with his shock attacks. Each time you fully fill up one of the generators, it will spawn in a max ammo and a carpenter for you. Once you've filled up all the generators with souls, you'll notice that the Avogadro will now become small. What you now need to do is head back up to the APD control room and head over to around the bottom staircase of the APD where the door opened. The Avogadro will eventually make it over to you. What you now need to do is either shoot him with a weapon or galva knuckle him over towards the bottom of the stairs of the APD. Once you do make it over there with the Avogadro, he will be sucked up inside of the APD, and then you will get a load of brief dialogue about him being transported somewhere, and then the door will lock. What you now need to do is head over to the control panel in the APD control room again, and again, if you're playing with more than one player, then all players must interact with this terminal at exactly the same time, and this will get rid of the Avogadro. You will then need to wait for Rushmore to say a load of story dialogue, and eventually the door to the APD will open again, revealing the shard. Use your interactive button to pick up the shard and you will have completed the Easter egg. I hope you guys found this guide useful. If you're interested in the ending cutscene, I will have a link to it down in the description of the video, and I will see you guys in my next video.